Hello friends, welcome to Senior Coding Web Development Platform. In today's session, you're going to learn to stopwatch with the HTML, CSS and plain JavaScript. So, we are going to create the stopwatch user interface with HTML and CSS. And we are also going to make the user interface functional, which is JavaScript, that stopwatch works. So maybe we can see the final result here. So I'm processing here. It can see this is nothing but second, and this is microsecond, and this is second, and this could be the minutes. Okay, so we will be processing the time in JavaScript, and in JavaScript we will be using the data object, where you have to keep in mind the date should be used on the global basis for date and time. So without delay, we can start this stopwatch. Normally, this stopwatch, it is helpful on the web browsers uh, to calculate the time, and let me see how what are the coding we need to insert in the HTML and CSS to execute this part. Keep in mind, on the background basis we have a color, and for the heading one we have made this golden to be as gold part, and stopwatch there it is on the caps basis. To insert this particular circle, we will be processing one content, and we have inserted two button. One is start and stop button, and this is nothing but clear button, where it reset with the initial value of 0. So we keep in mind this two thing is very important while creating on the JavaScript. And also it need to process the value, that is time should be processed. So let me see on the HTML. So on the HTML part, under the header tag, maybe we can add this relative style sheet and style.css, and maybe we can add the title. So I'm making the title as gold stopwatch. So we will be using some link for the CSS part. As we already know, we can get this particular font size from the Google basis. Maybe if we require, you can add it. I already copied some links. I'm going to paste over here. Maybe that we can done later. So under the body part, I need to add the division of class as stopwatch, where for the heading 1 I'm going to add the inline element of span class, which should be in the form of gold. As we know on the demo product, the gold is highlighted with the golden, no? So that is I'm going to use. So next it is stopwatch. Now I am closing this tag. So next on the division class, I'm going to add the circle, where under the inline element of span class I'm making as time, and it should start display as 00.00.00. So next I'm going to control this division. Here I'm setting here as division class which is equivalent to controls. So where I'm going to add the button class as button play. Next we need to insert this image. I'm going to add the play button where I'm getting the source from the respective cloudinary.com, and similarly I'm going to process for image ID for pass button. So where I have to use a source. So next I'm going to process the image ID for button reset. Again I'm using the source. So far we have done the button and the division. So next we need to add the scripting part for this. Scripting, that is the JavaScript part we need to process. So I'm just going to add over here. It is script my script source file name is, I'm saving as script.js and just closing. I'm opening the file of script. So under the JavaScript, next on the JavaScript part, I'm going to use the functionalities as for time, that is minute, seconds and milliseconds. I'm just converting all the hours to be as minutes, seconds and milliseconds. So I'm going to start my function. So under the function, I'm declaring the variable as time2string, and under the parameters I'm declaring as time. So next I'm going to make let differ in hours equivalent to time, and I'm going to divide it by my milliseconds, which is 1 minute is equal to 1000 milliseconds. So 1 hour equal to 60. So I'm just converting as 36 lakh. Next on the let hours, which I'm making with the inbuilt function of math floor, where I'm using as differ in hours. So next I'm similarly processing for differ in minutes, which is differ in hours, that should be subtract from my hour. Since hour is nothing but minute, that is 1 hour. So next for the minute, I'm adding as let equal to math dot floor. I'm making as differ in minutes. So similarly, I want to create for differ in seconds and differ in milliseconds. That is let differ in second. I'm making as differ in minimum. It should subtract from the value of minutes and it should be multiply with 60. So next for the second, the variable, I'm making as math dot floor, where I'm processing as differ in millisecond. That is differ in, this is differ in second. So again I'm going to create let differ in millisecond, which is equivalent to differ in second, and it should subtract from second, which should multiply with the value of, since for 1 minute equal to 60 second and 1 second equal to 1000 millisecond, I'm multiplying with 100. Again I'm making here as let ms is equivalent to math dot floor. I'm making as differ in millisecond. So I am just want the formatted for my minutes, second and millisecond, where it should start from the value of 0 and it take the decimal values of 2. For this I'm using the function as formatted. My minutes should be minutes to string and it should start from the value of, for this I'm using as pad start with a decimal of 2 and initially value is 0. So similarly I'm repeating for this for my seconds and milliseconds. Here I'm changing as second, and this is here to be millisecond. Here to be millisecond. So it should return the statement, it should return the output. For this I'm going to use the statement of return, and it should start from the process of return and it need to store the value. For this I'm going to use a $sign. Under this formatted minute formatted minute, closing this one and separating by this one, and it should get the value of dollar. I'm using again formatted second and closing this, separating by colon, getting the value, and again it should get the millisecond. So we need to close this statement. So next we need to declare the variable to use in the function below. Since we know that the initial time, the start time and the time interval, we are going to use one more option as elapsed time. Elapse is nothing but it gives the difference between the start time and the time interval. So I'm going to declare again the function as let start time let elapsed time is equivalent to 0. Let timer interval, which we don't know, so I'm not declaring anything. So we need to function to modify on the inner HTML. For this I'm going to use a function where it should print the text. Print the text. So next I'm going to use document dot get element by ID, and I'm making as display dot inner HTML, which is text. So we need to function for the start, pass and reset functions. For this again I'm going to use a function under this the start, where for the start time I have to set it as date dot now, should be subtracted from the elapsed time, and I'm making the time interval, which is set interval, where it's to start from the function print time. So under this I'm using one more option that is function process, that is elapsed time, where it should set from the date dot now. It represents the current date and time, and it should subtract from the start time. Start time. So it need to print the value. For this I'm going to use print time to string, and it should elapsed the time So next I'm going for the show button. Under the show button, it also want to process pass. So next I'm going to write the function for the pass. Where pass, it is nothing but it makes a clear interval. And making as timer interval, where it have to show the button of play. So next we need to create the function to display the button. Maybe I have missed one more thing, that is for the pass. I'm just writing for the function to be reset. So under the reset, I'm making the clear interval. So next it want to print the value as 00.00 dot double colon. This value need to be print. I'm closing this. Next my elapsed time also, that is difference time, also will be as 0. Show button as play. So next I'm going to create the function under the show button. So next on the function show button, I'm going to process the button key. Where this button key have to make it as constant button to show, which is equivalent to button key, and it should exactly equivalent to play, and it need to cross check with my play button with the pass button. So next it want to process my constant button to hide, where it should equivalent to my button key, and it should exactly equivalent to play, and I'm using the operator of question where it cross check actually, where it start from the pass button with the play. So next I'm going to use button to show, where their style, and I'm making their display as block. So next I'm going to process the button to hide. I'm making their style to be display as none. So next we need to add the event listener for play button, pause button and reset button. So I'm going to use let play button is equivalent to document dot get element by id, where it should start from the play button. Similarly, I'm processing for the pause button. Let pause button is equivalent to document dot get element, that is pause button. Similarly, I'm processing for let for reset button document dot get element by id. I'm making us reset. So next I'm making the play button. It should add the event listener. Add event listener. I'm making us click and processing for the start. Pass button, where I'm adding add event listener, click, it should process, pass. Next for the reset button, add event listener, it should process a click. After clicking, it need to follow the reset. So far we have done with the HTML and the JavaScript. So we need to create the styling part. So under the styling, it is very simple. I am going to add the background color. So initially I plan to add the background color. So I'm going to add their background color as ash 2C3347. Next I'm making their color as ash. So it is your choice, you can use according to your convenient. So next on the heading 1 part, that is head 1, I'm going to make their font size, that is 48 pixel, and font family Montserrat sans serif. Next I'm making a font weight as 200. So I'm using the text align as 200. Maybe my text align should be center. It should not end. Center. Next I'm making their line height as 59 pixel. Again I'm adding their padding as 0.64 pixel, making their margin as 0. So again I'm going to process for stopwatch, circle and time, and I'm going to add for the gold control button, play button and pass button. For all these things I'm going to add the styling part. For the circle, I have created the display as flex and justify content as center and align items as center. Next, for the height, I have fixed as 270 pixel and width as 270 pixel. I have done their border to be as 2 pixels solid, and I have created the border radius as 50%. Next, for the class of time, I have created the font family, font weight and font size. Again, for the gold, I have done their weight to be 900 and color and the text shadow also has been fixed. So similarly, I created for the control, where for the display as flex and justify content as space between and width as 187 pixel. So for the button, I have created the cursor, background, padding, border, margin and outline, which is as pointer, transparent, 0, none, 0 and none. Next, for the play button, I have set it as a display block and pass button as display as none. So just the recap of HTML, I have already pasted the respective URL on the play button. You can able to notice over here. Based on this, you can cross check it is working. It is placed on the right hand side. So we have used the reference of style sheet of Google map, Google font, and I have inserted the images for button play, and I have used this source where I have taken from the web browser. You can choose any web browser, it is not mandatory to follow the same thing. And I have used for button play, that is play button, pass button and button reset. This could be the same for even for play and pass, it is working on the same part. This could be the reset button. So on the scripting basis, we have done so many things, like we have converted the hours into minutes and seconds, and along with the millisecond. Next we process with the form method, where it should start from the 2 decimals with the values of 0 0. After that, it need to declare the variable. It need to use the function as start time, elapsed time and time interval. So let me see on the platform. So it is going on. I'm just clicking the reset button. It is resetting to 0. So this is a simple example of a stopwatch or stop clock. So I hope this session gives a clear picture regarding the HTML and CSS part. Thank you.